Okay, so it's time for My Little Pony Season 6, the season finale, my real thoughts. I'll let anyone else chime in as we go along, but mostly this is our honest thoughts on the episode, as opposed to the stuff that is in the other video. This episode starts off with fan service moment number 1. Garpy delivers the mail to Starlight Glimmer. Starlight is summoned back to her hometown, where she used to be a tyrant over there, and every pony wants her to come back and celebrate a big celebration with them. They're all happy to welcome her back, but this doesn't ease Starlight Glimmer's nerves any. So we move on to fan service moment number 2. Princess Luna appears to Starlight Glimmer in a dream to assure her that everything's going to be okay and tell her to trust the main 6 to advise her in how to handle her nervous situation. Fan service moment number 3. Starlight teams up with Trixie to go back to the village together so that she can make the journey with a close friend. When Starlight gets to the village, she's completely unable to do anything right. She sort of chickens out and runs away from the village. Just her nerves get to her and she doesn't want to be put in charge of things, but everyone's so happy to see her that they want her in charge of things, and she can't handle being given power again. Unable to face all that, she returns to Ponyville. So we get fan service moment number 4. Green Chrysalis is back and everyone has been replaced by changelings. How this happens we'll probably never know. And if we ever did get told how this happens, the fandom would probably complain about the changelings being too powerful and the ponies being too weak, and there's no way the changelings should have been able to have overthrown everyone in less than 24 hours. But honestly, we don't know how long the changelings have been living in Ponyville and other towns throughout Equestria, how widespread their terror has been, other than the fact that they've kidnapped and replaced all of the princesses. We know that this whole takeover happened in Starlight Glimmer's absence and was completed being taken over by the time she got back. It's all sort of headcanon territory as to how the takeover happened or how long the changelings had been hiding out and laying low. I still like my idea of all background ponies who were duplicated were actually secretly changelings. But I didn't see any hints of the changeling takeover throughout the different episodes. Normally I'd say if a pony was out of character that they were secretly changelings, but I really didn't see any hints of that sort of thing happening. As Starlight gets warned by Luna as to what's really happening and tries to figure stuff out, she goes back to Trixie and meets up with Thorax, and they try to figure things out, and this leads to fan service number 5. Discord joins the team. And then we roll into part 2, where we have to think of a reason why Discord can't just snap his fingers and win the day and fill the Changeling Kingdom with chaos, depower all of the changelings, free his friends, and instantly win. We have a very interesting little thing of Green Chrysalis' throne being made up of the equivalent of pony kryptonite, and it has the power to depower anyone who's not a changeling and rob them of their magic. It seems that with Discord being so overpowered and Starlight Glimmer being oh so clearly overpowered, that having overpowered characters, 5 different Alatorns on the team, and so much magic in the universe that things are just too crazy, future season openers and season finales gotta throw a lot of stuff at us in order for these overpowered hero characters to not be so overpowered that they would snap their fingers and literally win the day instantly. So, in future season openers and finales, we're really going to have to kick things up and find new interesting ways that you can't just use magic to super speed, be in more places at one time, mind control characters, snap your fingers and warp reality, do all sorts of crazy Alatorn shenanigans, form super shields, transmogrify objects into other objects, teleport everywhere, and basically do pretty much anything that the script could ask you to do. You're going to have villains who either have the ability to drain your powers via kryptonite, or have characters who are more powerful than you so that you can't just instantly win. It'll be interesting to see going forward what kinds of things will sort of depower the heroes to allow them and the villains to be on equal playing fields. Either that, or you have to have a villain who's just as crazy powerful as Starlight Glimmer is. The fact that the Changeling Castle can constantly shape shifts and change its layout. Similar to an idea I've had in my head for my own stories, and maybe even ideas I've heard in other places. It's very fascinating to live inside a fortress that constantly changes its layout, so you never know where the exit is or where any of the rooms are located. It's a very fascinating concept, and it really helps with the world building of the changelings. As the characters go on without any powers, they meet all sorts of obstacles and realize that other talents they have are just as useful as the talents they don't have. Trixie is able to use her illusions to everyone's benefit. Discord is able to be so annoying that he serves as a great distraction. And Starlight is able to use her intelligence to figure out ways to solve different situations, and is able to step up as the reluctant leader and sort of embrace that leadership role just a little bit more. One by one, we see each of the characters kidnapped, however, until it's just Starlight and Thorax left. Thorax leads Starlight to Chrysalis's throne room, and he puts on the disguise of Starlight to throw off Queen Chrysalis, who has some honestly creepy moments as she and Thorax talk back and forth. Starlight tries to destroy the throne but fails, and has to trick Queen Chrysalis into destroying the throne for her. She gets Thorax to release all of the love he's built up and give all of it to Queen Chrysalis, causing an explosion that destroys the throne and a good chunk of the palace and allows everyone to be free from their cocoons. This also causes one of the most ridiculous and brightly colored character transformations that I've ever seen. The changelings in their new form look absolutely silly and ridiculous, but it does sort of make sense. I mean, when bugs evolve from their larva stage onto their final stage, they often do get pretty colorful, so it made sense that characters based on insects would be just as colorful and brightly colored as the other insects that we've known throughout our world. It doesn't stop them from looking like horribly drawn OCs with really bad color choices, but it does sort of make sense when you really think about it. With Chrysalis having no one left, she gets offered a chance to reform and rejects it. So we actually get a villain who does not reform at the end of this episode, only now she's on her own without an army, And what will happen to her next, we don't really know. Maybe Tristles will be able to breed forth a new army of changelings, or maybe she'll align herself with new villains, either ones we've already encountered or ones that we haven't encountered yet.
Overall, I really liked this episode. It was certainly a nice change of pace from the usual magical beam things that we use to, reform ponies and characters and make them our friends. It was certainly nice where that wasn't an option, where magic literally had to be removed from the equation. And these characters actually had to be genuinely reformed. And it's just so touching that way, because what these characters were genuinely reformed. It's like, we don't want to be evil changelings anymore. It's like, we want to share love and everything. It's just so beautiful. It was also really nice to see Starlight Glimmer growing as a character, and, I think it's just so cool. And, she overcame her fears and helped save Equestria in the process. So, yo!
Overall, I loved this episode. It took a very big risk by leaving the main six out for the majority of the episode, and the risk actually paid off incredibly well. They took the normal finale formula and flipped it on its head, and I love it. Plus, we get a lot more lore about the changelings, which is always fascinating. Though many parts of the episode left a lot more questions than answers, the episode was still great overall. What did you think?
Anyhow, that's about all I have to say for the finale. Thank you all for showing up and helping me out with it. Thank you for watching, and good night.